Okay, so I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 for a decent amount of time now, and I have a complaint about the game, finally. Besides, of course, the bug that caused me to not be able to play my main character anymore. I tried some of the fixes that people suggested, and they didn't work, so I just actually just deleted that character. Screw it, why not? I could just, I made a new one and started over, and now I'm way further than I was on my first account, so first character, so I don't even care all that much. Doesn't matter. It does suck because things were headed in a really interesting direction on that character, unfortunately for me. But yeah, anyway, I have a complaint about quests in this game. And it's not really with the quest design, but how the objectives are laid out, which quests, get the show on map treatment, and also just, showing the objective, an objective marker at all. And also just giving you information about what the fuck to do. Because there are some quests that just don't give you any information about what to do, where to go, who to talk to, and it's very, very obnoxious. So, one of the ones I'm going to talk about is actually a quest that I didn't complete, but it says completed because it does that for the ones that you essentially fail. Um, and the one I'm looking for in particular is this one. Find Arabella's parents. Now, this quest sucks because if you save Arabella at the Grove and then you go into the Shadow Curse lands and progress to you get the Moon Lantern, you can look for. Do you need the Moon Lantern for that? I think you do, but you can go into the next area or whatever, and then you'll find Arabella, right? And she's looking for her parents, and so I offered to search for them and invite her. I invited her to the camp because you know I'm trying to be a nice guy, right? Even though this character in particular has increased intimidation, I actually don't use it that much. So, um, anyway. But the thing is that when you do this, the game doesn't give you any information about where to look, right? Arabella just says you were running, right? They were running away from something and then she lost them. That's basically all the information you have to go off of. She's like, they couldn't have been that far behind. And it's like, okay, well, this area is fucking massive. So, and once again, there's no quest marker. There's no even like in some games there'll be like a giant circle saying, "Oh, it could be in this area." There's not even that, right? It's just absolutely nothing to go off of. And the thing is that her parents are a pretty decent ways away, like, and not in the direction that you would expect. So really, I just never found them. And so eventually I looked it up just so I could complete it before moving on to the next chapter. And then, I found them and they were dead. So I just told her, hey, your parents are dead. So it's just that it really sucks. Just not being able to complete a quest because there's nothing to go off of. And I really don't like having to look stuff up. For the most part, I try to avoid it. Um, but for some of these, I really did have to just look up. Okay, where do I go? What do I do? Because it's upsetting, really. It just sucks. It sucks so much. And the problem is that there are actually like really like well written instructions for some of them, right? Like for this one, we met Arabella, a tiefling from the Grove in the Shadowlands. She's looking for her parents. We offered to search for them, right, and invited her to our camp. And then that's basically, it's like the quest is find her parents, right? There's no other information. You can talk to Arabella all you want, and this isn't going to be updated at all, saying, "Oh, well, maybe you should look in this area." Arabella says that they were running, and her parents disappeared in this area. Nothing, none of that. But then you've got a quest for one of the companions, Shadowheart, where you have a very like in-depth, like written stuff about what you should do and who you should talk to, right? Like find a Sharon lookout. Look at how in-depth this is. We have arrived in Worm's Crossing. Shadowheart believes that Sharon lookouts will be present in the vicinity, awaiting a return. She must find one such lookout in order to learn where the Sharon cloister is hidden. She expects to find such a lookout hiding amongst the desperate new arrivals flooding into Worm's Crossing. Right? And you can actually talk to Shadowheart and she'll tell you, yeah, you should look for where there's a high concentration of refugees. And, that's what I did. I looked for, okay, where's the place with the most refugees? And then I just went around talking to people, right? I would talk to someone and then they would say, leave me alone, or, say one sentence and then leave. The dialogue would stop. And eventually I talked to a guy who looked very shady, and it turns out, he was a Sharon. So, boom. Complete the quest. He told us it's the House of Grief. Come here if you want to get killed, basically, and, proceed to the next objective, basically. And so there are quests like that where it's just like you do what it tells you to do and then it works. And then there are other quests where the game doesn't tell you what to do at all and just gives you no information, and then you just don't complete them. So I just want the game to be consistent, right? And that's easily the thing that upsets me the most about this, because I don't think this is actually that big of a problem. It's just the inconsistency that really upsets me about it. And another one that I hate, absolutely hate, is this one. Find Dribbles the Clown. This one is such a absurdly ridiculous quest. Dribbles the Clown, star of the circus, is missing. The necromancer asked us to find him. This was after, mind you, I found his torso, because I was just exploring the city, and eventually the first thing I did was basically just go wherever my eyes found the most interesting. Whatever drew my attention is where I went, right? And so what drew my attention when I entered, the city, was underneath the bridge, right? That was immediately where I wanted to go. I went under the bridge, and then I just went all the way down to where the shadow cursed ship was, and then I made I doubled back, and then I went into a cave underneath the bridge, and that's when I went through there, and eventually I found the torso, right? But I didn't know what the fuck to do with the torso. I just found a clown's torso, and the only reason I kept it is because it had a gold outline like this, right? And so I was like, okay, well, this must be used for something. It's got a gold outline and it's got gold text, the same as this mysterious artifact, and a bunch of other stuff I have. So it's probably important for a quest or something, so I kept it, right? And then eventually, in the circus, I just went around talking to people, and she was like, oh yeah, go find Dribbles the Clown. I was like, okay, well, I've got his torso. Where the fuck is the rest of them? But the thing is the game doesn't tell you any information at all about where to look. And what's funny is that there's a severed hand that's really close to Ringmaster Lucretius, but I missed that. I didn't see it. Like, I hit Alt and it just didn't show up when I was going around the area. And so, unless you're like thoroughly examining every nook and cranny of this game and looking for every interactable object, like barricades and all this stuff, you would just never find this stuff, you know? And the only reason I found his torso is because it was on a dead body in the open, right? And I'm just looting, right? I was like, oh, okay, there's a bunch of fucking dead people here. Let me loot their bodies and, scrounge up some coin. And then I found a clown's torso and I was like, well, might as well keep it. It's got, looks like it could be a quest item. Whatever, I'll just keep it. That's typically what happens with stuff that has a gold outline for me. As gold outline, I don't know, maybe it's used for something. Let me just keep it. This Susur tree bark, I don't know what the fuck this is used for. I just kept it. Picked it up. I don't, whatever. Who gives a shit? Same thing with these notes, if it's got a gold outline, I keep it. It's that simple. But it's like, what the fuck is any of this shit used for? Most of the time, I have no idea because the game just doesn't tell you. Like, for instance, when I picked up this tree bark, if it had given me a quest saying, hey, maybe you could use the tree bark for this, that I think that would be fine, right? Especially since I went to the tower where, the stuff was being powered by the Susur tree flowers, and powered up the thing. I was like, maybe I read all the books in that fucking place, and it didn't give me like any kind of information or quest about what I could use this for, if it could be used for anything at all. um you know but yeah, it's just like, I really wish there was consistency in how the quests objectives are laid out, just to make them easier to follow along and give you some direction, right? That's easily the thing that upsets me the most, because it's just not consistent. Like in Elden Ring, the game is consistent. It's consistently cryptic as fuck. You have no idea what's going on at all the time. And there are massive swaths of the game that you can miss. And you go in expecting that, right? But in this game, when I've got objectives, and some of them are laid out very clearly and specifically of what I needed to do, where I need to go, who I need to talk to, and then others that are just fucking, you're just in the dark. You have zero clue at all about what the fuck is going on or where you need to go, who you need to talk to. It's just inconsistent, and I hate that about, some of these quests. But anyway, that's really my only complaint for the game so far. And at least, it's not a bug, right? Losing my first character because of a bug really just sucked ass. But, I'm willing to forgive that because it was a bug. But this is not a bug. This is just kind of bad design. But anyway, that's pretty much all that I wanted to say.